Hey guys, time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So today I was mostly working on the 61 convertible here, finishing up the last couple things. We went ahead and got a replacement gas tank for it. The gas tank that came in the car was just awful inside. And the shop that we use, Tom's Radiator Service down in Old Town Orange, they tried to boil it out and it just had so much crud in it that they were going to have to put a hole in the side of it and sandblast it, and it was going to be such a big expense that it just didn't make any sense. So we went ahead and bought a new reproduction gas tank from Wolfsburg West. They look great, problem solved, and saved the customer some money. So went ahead and got that in, new fuel reserve valve on it, and new hoses front to back. The car's been sitting for, as it turns out, probably more like 4 years than a year and a half after talking some more with the customer. So yeah, pretty much whole new fuel system in here, or new/rebuilt, and went through all the brakes. Everything in the brakes is new, pretty much except the hard lines. And went ahead and fired it up today, and I was kind of hoping that the fuel pump would not need to be rebuilt, so I went ahead and tried it out as it was, and the fuel pump was not pumping. So a little bit surprising to me, but after sitting for 4 years. But yeah, the diaphragms in there were pretty crispy, wasn't pumping fuel. So okay, I gave in, went ahead and pulled it, threw a rebuild kit in it, boom, worked instantly. So yeah, there you go. So yeah, all new/rebuilt fuel system, fired right up, and then got the air cleaner and stuff back on it. The only thing is I have to take it for a drive in the morning, get it good and warmed up, and then maybe do a little adjustment on the carburetor, but I suspect it's going to be pretty close. And then the customer can have it back and start to enjoy driving it again. Hopefully he doesn't let it sit for 4 years or whatever again. I think he's going to be driving it and enjoying it a lot now, especially now it's a good time of year here. The weather's cooled off a little bit. So yeah, anyway, pretty much spent most of the day on this guy and got her ready to go. So there you go. Mr. Rafa was working on the EV Beetle again today, primarily up front here, just kind of straightening up some of the wiring and some of the air conditioning stuff here that was done by our partner shop that we work with, Friaza Customs, who did the EV install and the air conditioner install. We just kind of needed, I don't know if that's a word. We made things a little neater than what he had it. And then the other thing that occurred to me was that unlike the cowlick bug, we didn't fill in the vents in the hood, which would be about right there if the hood was on it. And so it occurred to me that without this fresh air system in here, any water, if the customer washed it or if he got in the rain, all that water would pretty much just go down and be getting basically like right on the fuse box and everything. Not necessarily a great idea. So Rafa and I talked about it, and what he did was he went ahead and took the fresh air system itself here, part of it, and went ahead and cleaned it up and stuff and reinstalled it. Of course, it's not connected to any of the tubes to the dash or anything, but what it will do is any water that comes through that vent on the hood, it'll catch it and then it'll drain it out through the bottom. So we may put a drain hose from there up to there, and then just any water that comes in there will just drain out. So yeah, a little thing like that, a little detail in case the customer again drives it in the rain or washes it with a hose, which we don't really recommend usually, but yeah, keep it all nice and dry under here where all these electronics are. So then the last thing to do here is we're going to make a kind of a simple cover here to cover the wiring and these air conditioning hoses and stuff like that. Nothing too fancy, but just cosmetically clean that up a little bit. The other thing was this door mechanism. We just weren't really happy with it, with how the lock on it was working. If you push the button down, you didn't get that nice like clicking sound. It would kind of go down and then kind of come back up partially on its own. It just, something wasn't right with it, even though it seemed to be, I think we actually bought new reproduction ones for this, which were actually stamped Volkswagen, but at least on the passenger side, it kind of sucked. And so we decided to go ahead and yank it out and try and find an original one. The driver's side one works great. You get a nice positive click on the button there, and when you lock it, it works great. But this side was just not really up to our standards. So went ahead and pulled it out, and are going to try and get a good used one and get it in there, and then that should all be taken care of. But the upholstery did go most of the rest of the way in, except obviously this door panel, because we had to get up in there to pull that door mechanism out. But pretty much the rest of it went in, and holy smokes, look at that. Ignore that steering wheel though, that's going to get replaced. But yeah, the rest of it, and ignore this window glass here. But pretend that's not there, and that ugly steering wheel, and look at the rest of it though. These again were these custom leather upholstered Scat Pro Car seats that we did, two-tone here with perforated leather centers and then leather on the outside, kind of a two-tone gray, and then matching biscuits and pattern here on the back, and then the rear speaker tray there with some nice stitching accents in it just to make it look nicer than just being like a plain piece of I don't remember if that piece is vinyl or leather off the top of my head, but anyway, yeah, just little details like that. Those two stitch lines right there just make it look more high end than if that was just a plain sheet of vinyl or leather there, whatever it is. But yeah, so interior is pretty much done, except for, again, the steering wheel and this door panel once we get this door mechanism sorted out. So there you go. Very happy with how this is looking here. So that's that. Oops. Yeah, that doesn't close because there's no door mechanism. Anyway, so yeah, other than pretty much finishing up here with some kind of cover, that door mechanism, front and rear lid, then this thing is pretty much done and ready to go. So hopefully we'll have it done maybe within about a week or so, and get it back to the customers. So there you go. That was Rafa's day. Jacob came in this afternoon and he got the transmission ready to pull out, almost. So we went ahead and drained the oil out of it, and I went ahead and had him disassemble the brakes on both sides. When we give these to our transmission guy, we pretty much give it to him with the ends all stripped down. He doesn't want all this stuff, the backing plate and all that. We assemble all that, and we'll send all this stuff off for powder coating and plating and everything. So we pretty much just give it to him axle to axle, but without any of this brake stuff on it. So went ahead and had Jacob strip most of that stuff off. The last thing to do is to pull these 4 bolts here and pull the bearing caps on both sides, and then the rest of the stuff comes right off. Yeah, he's got the clutch cable undone, and yeah, I think pretty much just the mounting bolts for the transmission, and then the axle to spring plate hardware is about the last thing to come off, and then this transmission will come out and we'll send it off to our guy for rebuild. One thing I don't know if I mentioned on this car is it does have a old school camber compensator on there. You can look that up if you're not sure what it is, but they sold it as, I think they sold it as like something that improved performance, but it really was more of a safety device. It really kept on a swing axle Beetle the outside rear wheel in a turn. So say you were turning right, this would be the outside wheel here, the back one. On a stock height car, that wheel could actually, because of the way the wheel moves on an arc due to the swing axle, that rear wheel could actually kind of tuck underneath in an extreme case, and the car would actually like roll over pretty easily. And so the camber compensator pretty much prevented that from happening. It's kind of almost the opposite of a sway bar in some regards as far as like what it does. But yeah, it's very cool that this had it on there. So we will take that and clean it up and probably have it all powder coated and have any original hardware and stuff on it, zinc plated, and put it back on. Really, really cool touch. And I'm guessing this is probably nearly as old as the car. Not 100% sure. Once I clean it up, I'll see if I can find any markings on it or anything, but I'm guessing it's pretty old. The car again is a 63. I wouldn't be surprised if that camber compensator was also from the early or mid 60s. So kind of a neat piece on there. Anyway, yeah, so transmission will probably come out tomorrow and go to our transmission guy. The long block, he did go ahead and take off the heater boxes and stuff today. We got the oil drained out of this. So probably go ahead and run this over to Roth Vintage tomorrow, and he can get started on it whenever he's able. Do a rebuild. Again, we're going to punch it out to a 1385 here, give him a little bit better drivability, a few more cc's on this 40 horse. The only last thing was I spent a very brief amount of time on the 68 double cab, again working up under the dash, and what I did was, if I can find the controls here, let's see, oh there we go, look at that, whee! So I went ahead and hooked up the controls for the fresh air system there, and also for the heater system, which is this side. These two levers, they're hooked up to the cables there. So yeah, pretty much again waiting on getting the radio here, install that, wire it, and then the gauge cluster will go in, and then the front of this thing here, at least the dash portion, is pretty much done. I guess I can go ahead and stick in the steering column and stuff. And then again, I need to order the air conditioner system because that box will sort of mount up underneath there. But yeah, moving right along on this guy. Trying to keep the momentum going here. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye.